Hey guys, Hussein and welcome to YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to be creating our 98th project of this course, which will be a meal finder. So I'm going to just write O98 and this is going to be the folder name, and I'm going to just write like meal finder, and inside this meal finder I'm going to create a file given name of like index.html file, style.css, and also app.js file right here. Okay, so I'm going to make it bigger so you guys can see everything a bit better. I'm going to write my doc type HTML meal finder, and I'm going to link it with my CSS file and also with my JavaScript file right here, like so. I'm going to hide there, but before I do, first of all, I'm going to just come to this link, which is cdnjs.com, and I'm going to just search for font awesome. Okay, so here you can see we have that. I'm going to click on him, and now here underneath this link I'm going to just place it right here. I'm going to hide there. Let me just save it, and now we are good to go. But before we do, I'm going to click on this open with the live server, so it will now open this project with a live server right here. So now let me just make sure that we are getting that font awesome or not. Okay, so we have to refresh it, and yep, I guess yeah, we are. So we are getting that font awesome right here. Anyway, so that's cool, and just ignore this error. I don't know why we are getting this error, so I'm going to just hide it. I don't know how to hide. I'm going to just click on this log or maybe somewhere here. All right, so that was cool. Anyway, so I'm going to just remove them, and now inside this body I'm going to just first of all start from my navigation. So I'm going to just write nav, and inside this nav I'm going to create a form with a class of input container, and inside this input container what I will do is that I'm going to create my input with a type of text and also with the class name of input right here. Okay, so underneath there or you know what, I want to get my I'm going to just remove them. Let me just hit control space and enter, and it will now just format it for me. I'm going to just remove this action right here because we don't need that, and I'm going to also provide my placeholder of search ... Underneath this input I'm going to write my I with the class of fa solid solid, and I'm going to also provide fa magnifying glass, so magnifying not forward slash but just dash glass, and also magnifier magnifier. There we go. Okay, so now let me just save that, and here you can see we are now getting our search and also our magnifying glass or magnifier glass, however you want to pronounce that. Inside this navigation and underneath this form I'm going to create my li, and I'm going to just write like, I don't know, time 3 would be fine, and the first one will be just a break fast or just a break fast like that, and I'm going to also write lunch and also dinner. There we go. DINNER. There we go. So now underneath this navigation what I will do, I way zoomed in, so I want to just go back, save my file, and now underneath this navigation what I will do is that I'm going to also provide my main, and inside this main I'm going to just write div with a class of container, and inside this container I want to create a container for my image because this is going to be the place where I'm going to be rendering my own image right here. Okay, or not mine but the food image, and I'm going to also provide a class for content container. Okay, here we are going to be also writing all of our content, and I'm going to give a name of like title because here we are going to be printing our food name. Underneath there I'm going to also create a paragraph, and I'm going to give a name of like info, and lorem will be 20. Okay, so now underneath this paragraph I'm going to create a button, and it will just say like I don't know, 20 and order now or something like that. Underneath this main area what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a section with a class of ingredients. Okay, because here we are going to be placing all of our ingredients. So I'm going to just go back so you guys can see everything a bit better. First of all, we are creating our navigation. Inside this navigation we are creating our form and also our URL, and then inside this main area we are creating a container. Then we are creating a container for our image because here we are going to be rendering our image, the food image to be precise. Then inside this content container we are going to be first of all writing a food name, then the food description, and then here we are going to be placing the ingredients for that food. Okay, so now let me just zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything a bit better. I'm going to go into my style sheet right here. You can skip ahead if you don't want to write a styling, but I'm going to just write a little bit of styling. By the way, you can also find all of this coding in my GitHub repository. I'm going to give you the link in the description below if you want to get there. Justify content will be now set to space around, and also align items will be now set to center. Okay, so I'm going to also provide a margin of 20 pixels right in here. Now let me just get my input container, which is this input container. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to just write dot so we can select it. Okay, so now I'm going to just write display of flags. Align items will be now totally center. Border, I'm going to just provide a border of like I don't know, 1 pixel solid, and this color which will be FF6E and 00. There we go. And I'm going to also provide a padding of 5 pixel. There we go. And also the width will be 300 pixel in my case, and the height I'm going to provide is like 50 pixel, and the border radius I'm going to give it like 50 pixel right here, and margin will be 10 pixel. Position will be totally relative, and transition I'm going to just provide a transition for the width once the width is changing in 5 seconds. So now let me just take care of this input element which we have inside this form. I'm going to select it first of all, and now let me just close that. I don't know what the hell. Okay, so I'm going to also provide margin of 10 pixel for top and bottom, and 50 pixel for left and right, and margin for the left will be just equals to 20 pixel, and the width I'm going to give it like 100%, and color I'm going to change that to like FF6 E00, and I'm going to also provide a border, and it will be now set to none, and I'm going to change the background to totally transparent, and I'm going to also remove that outline, and let me just write a transition delay for 0.5 seconds. Let me just save that, and this is how it currently looks like right here. That's looking awful. Let me just take care of that. Let me just select my magnifier. There we go. Did I spell it correctly or not? Let me just get my magnifier. Where in the world I put my magnifier? Oh, there we go. I'm going to copy there, and now let me just select it right here. The spelling was totally correct. So position is now set to absolute. Right will be set to 15 pixel. Okay, and the width I'm going to just provide 25 of pixel, and text alignment will be now set to totally center. I'm going to also provide margin of 0 auto, and also the cursor will be pointer, and let me just change the color to something else, like I don't know, maybe FFA31A will be fine. So I'm going to just save that, and this is how currently things looks like. So anytime I want to type something, this is going to be the color. So now we are totally done with the navigation. So now it's time to select my UL and LIs, which you can see right here. Okay, so let me just get my UL LI, and I'm going to just write display of totally inline, and I'm going to also provide a margin left of 40 pixel in this case. And also the font family will be now set to sans serif. I don't want to use any other fonts, and I guess that would be fine. If you want to use some other fonts, so feel free to choose that. Let me get my main right here. So the main area where we are going to be placing all of our content. So display, I'm going to just change that to flex. Justify content will be center, and align items will be also set to boom center. Alright, that's looking cool. So now let me just take care of that container which we've created underneath, like inside this main area, which is this container right here. Okay, so now let me just take care of that, and I'm going to just provide the width of 70%, and also the padding will be 3 rems. Box shadow, I'm going to change that to 10 pixel, 40 pixel, 5 pixel, and then what do we call it, E0. Okay, so then we have margin top of 5 rem, and also we have a display of totally flex. Justify content will be now set to space between, and also align items will be now set to totally centered. So now let me just save that, and this is how currently things looks like. Alright, that's cool. But now let me get my content container which we've created in a second ago. So I'm going to just copy the name of him, and I'm going to just replace it with here, because sometimes I type fast and I just made a mistake in the spelling. So I'm going to just change that to like font family. Oh, you know what, let me just first of all get that h1 inside that what do we call it, content container. I'm going to change that to sans serif. The font size I'm going to just increase that to 2 rems, and the color will be now set to 2C. There we go. I am going to save that, and this is how currently it looks like. Now underneath that, let me just paste it one more time, and I'm going to just select my info. So I'm going to just write font family of sans serif, and I'm going to also provide a line height of 1.4, and I'm going to also provide a margin for the bottom of 2 rems. There we go. And I'm going to also write a color of 6 times 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4, and also the width will be 20 25 or maybe 26 rims. So I'm gonna save that, and this is how it looks like right here. So now let me just take care of that image which we are going to be placing right here. Okay, so I'm gonna just write img, which is this image right here. So I'm going to first of all write a I don't know, transformer transform or translate x 120 pixel, and I'm going to also provide a margin for a top of 1 rem, and also the width will be 350 pixel will be fine, and I'm going to also provide a height of 350 as well. Okay, so underneath that I'm going to also set the border radius to 300 pixel. In this case we want to make it like totally round, and background I'm going to just specify the background image which I've already selected right here. You are more than welcome to choose your own image if you wanted to, but in my case I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to use my URL right here, and I'm going to just place this image right here. Okay, so I'm going to just write background repeat of no repeat, background position of totally center, and BG size will be set to totally covered. There we go. So I'm going to just save that. So now let me just write a little bit of CSS for my ingredients. So currently I don't have any ingredients, but later I will have. So ingredients, there we go. And I'm going to just give a width of like 80%, and also the margin will be 0 auto AUTO. You cannot see this what do we call this CSS result, not right now, but you will see that a little bit later. So 5 frame and padding will be just 50 pixel right here. Okay, so then we have that ingredients, and then we want to select our span inside this ingredients. And what do you want to do with that? I'm going to just provide a display of totally flex wrap will be now set to wrap, list style will be now set to none because we just want to remove that, and then ing for ingredients shorthand, and I'm going to just write a padding, there we go, and it will be now equals to top and bottom will be 10 pixel, and left and right will be 20 pixel. Border will be now set to 2 pixel solid, and SOL ID, yep, FF6E00. This is going to be the color which I'm going to be using, and color I'm going to just steal this color from here. This is going to be 2Fs, not 3, and I'm going to just place it right here. Okay, so I'm going to also provide a font family of sans serif. Border radius will be now set to 100 pixels. Save our file. We cannot see that ingredients not right now, but we will see it a bit later. Okay, so now we are totally done with our CSS and HTML. So it's time to write some JavaScript. So I'm going to just first of all get my document.query selector. First of all, I'm going to just get my form without writing a dot, and I'm going to just write form.add event listener, and once somebody submit this form, so what do you want to do? Search meal. So we are going to be creating this function in a second, but let me just duplicate that, and instead of form I'm going to just change that to magnifier. Okay, and here we have to provide that dot because this is a class name, and I'm going to just copy the name and place it right here and click when somebody click on this magnifier. So you want to just run this function which we are going to be creating in a second. Okay, so now what I'll do is that I'm going to just start from creating that function which will be search meal function. Okay, it will take a parameter, but this is going to be the asynchronous function, and we are providing that E because we want to prevent the default behavior of a browser. And we don't want to refresh our browser like when somebody clicks on our browser, or when somebody just search our input box. I mean, like when somebody submit our input box. There we go. So what I'll do is that I'm going to first of all select my input. It will be now equals to document.query selector of that input right here. So I'm going to just duplicate that a few times. And now let me just remove, or you know, let me just select both of them, and I'm going to just change that to title. Let me just select this one. I'm going to change that to info, and this one will be now set to img for image. I'm going to duplicate it one more time, and here I am going to just provide like ingredients output. There we go, output at lowercase, and here I am going to just provide my ingredients. There we go. So now we are totally done with this selection and stuff. So now it's time to fetch our data from our database. So I'm going to just write a function inside this function which will be fetch meal data, and it will be also a asynchronous function because here we are just fetching our data. We are passing this value because this is going to be the user input, like whatever the user is going to be typing in this search field right here. Okay, so this is going to be that result which you will see in a second, but now let me just get my await, and we want to fetch the data from this URL which will be TheMealDB TheMealDB.com. So we are going to be getting this data from this TheMealDB.com. You can come to this site and you can explore more about this TheMealDB API by yourself. And I'm going to just click on this API right here. And here you can learn more about that. But in my case, I'm not going to go into that much detail. I'm going to just specify my API right here. Okay, which will be https://www.themeal.api, not the meal API, but the TheMealDB. There we go. Yep, that's fine. Then we have a .com/API JSON version 1 and 1. I'm going to just write a search.php ? And then we have a s, and here we are going to be providing this value, like whatever the value we are getting from that user right here. Okay, so we are going to be passing it right here. So whatever the user search, we are going to be passing it right here. So now let me just store that in some sort of a result variable or something like that. Underneath this res, what I will do is that I am going to just destructure a few values. So I'm going to just write const, or let me just destructure this value. So it will be now set to await and then res.json. Okay, so we want to convert this data which we are getting from this API to JSON, and we want to just destructure this meals right here, which you will see in a second, because this API provide like more than a meal. So that's why we have to just fetch we have to destructure this meal from him. And what I will do is that I'm going to just return this meals right here. So if we save that, nothing will happen because we are not using this function. We are using this search meal function right here, but we are not using this fetch meal data function anywhere inside our program. So now what I will do is that I am going to get a data, I'm going to give him a label, like I'm going to give him a few labels for you. Okay, so I'm going to give him like select elements and also fetch data, and here get the user value. Here what we are going to be doing is that we are going to be getting a value from the user. So const val, and which is a shorthand for writing a value, and value.trim. So we want to just get our value and we want to trim it out, like, so we don't know if the user is going to be providing a lot of spaces or not. So that's why we are trimming it. Okay, so we are getting this input from this input right here. We are getting it right here. That's why we can use this value method on there, or maybe a property on there. Okay, so now let me just write if statement right here. So if the user provides some sort of a value, okay, so what do you want to do? We just want to get our meals, and we want to just write await, and then we want to just write fetch meals data, the function which we've created just a second ago. And here we want to specify the value. So what are we doing? Here we are creating this function right here, and here we are just fetching the data from this API right here, and this function will take this parameter of value. This is going to be the value which the user is going to be providing. So we are rendering it right here, and then we are just outputting the value right here. So the next thing which we are doing is that we are getting the value from the user, and we are passing that value to this fetch meal data function right here, which we are passing it right here. Anyway, so that's that. So now what I'll do is that I'm going to just search for a meal, like if you don't have any meals. So what do you want to do? We just want to show alert. Okay, so show alert. We would create this function in a second, or let me just create this function right here. So I'm going to copy that, and up above right here, I'm going to create this function right here. So it will be now equals to show alert. This is going to be also arrow function. And what we have to do is that I'm going to just write alert to the user, like meal not found, and set or roundy face right here. So now we already created this function right here. So now underneath that, so what I will do is that I'm going to just write my meals, and for each meal we are now iterating over through all of the meal. We want to just write show meal, show meal info. So we are going to be writing that in a second. And I also forgot to provide the else clause right here. So alert, if that's not true, so then alert like please try searching for meal. Okay, set our happy face right here in this case. So now we are totally done with this API and all of that stuff. So now it's time to render our data. So what I will do is that underneath this function, or at the top right here, I'm going to create a function for providing that data right here onto our browsers. So I'm going to just create this function right here. So we have I'm going to just go back, const show meal info. So it will just gives us information about the meal. Okay, and what I'll do is that first of all, let me just log to the console this meal right here. Okay, and this is the function which we are passing it right in here right here. Okay, so now let me just search for some sort of a meal, like I don't know, I'm gonna search for a pizza and I'm gonna hit enter right here. So now here you can see it will now gives us all of this information. So we are now interested in this stir meal thumb. Yep, we are also interested in this one, and also this stir meal instructions right here. So we can use it by the older way, but I'm not going to use the older way. I'm going to use the newer way, which is called destructuring. So I'm going to just destructure str meal, and you have to specify the variable name just like how I am writing. You have to write it like so. If you write something else like stir meal thumb or whatever you write, so it will not work because we are getting this data from our API. So that's why we have to write this name. So stir meal thumb. Okay, thumb, there we go. And then we have stir instruction, INSTRUCTIONS, there we go. And we are getting this data from this meal, which we are getting it right here. Okay, so next thing which we have to do is that we have to change this title, info, image, and also this ingredients right here, but not ingredients but the other stuff. So I'm going to just write title or text content, and I'm going to just change that to stir meal. Okay, and the next thing which I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write img style, because we want to change the background background image of this what do we call it, this image right here, this image element which you are selecting up above. And we cannot pass it right here, like if we cannot just write stir meal thumb right here, it will not give us anything, because here we have to specify the URL which you are going to be using inside our CSS right here. So what I'll do is that I'm going to pass this data right here, and I'm going to just write stir meal thumb. Okay, so that's that. Now underneath that, what I'll do is that I'm going to also provide my info text content, and it will be now set to stir instructions right here. So now I'm going to save my file, and now let me just search for, I don't know, pizza or something. So I'm going to just search for pizza, and I'm going to hit enter, and it will now give us the pizza image right here, the pizza name, and the description. And also we forgot to style this button, but that's okay, we can change that a bit later. So next thing which you have to do is that we have to start working on our ingredients. So I'm going to just write first of all ingredients, and it will be now equals to empty array, because currently we don't have any ingredients. So now I'm going to iterate over through that ingredients from like their data which we are getting from their API. So I'm going to just write for let I equals to 1, because it's going to be starting from 1, and I is less than or equals to 20, and then I plus plus. Okay, so now inside there I'm going to just write like meal, and here it will be now equals to stir ingredients, INGREDIENT, and here I'm going to pass my index right here. Okay, and now I'm going to just write ingredients dot push, and we are going to be just pushing this meal right here. So what I'll do is that I'm going to just write my meal, and it will be now equals to this what do we call it, stir ingredient. This I'm talking about this one, so I'm gonna just copy that, and I'm gonna just place it right here. And I guess we are not getting that value, but you know, I'm gonna just test it out in a second. But first of all, we have to specify this value, and it will be also now equals to the stir measure. So now I'm gonna just write dash, and then here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just specify my meal, and then stir measure. And you can find all of this data in the API if you want to check it out, so feel free to check it out. And that's cool. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to write an else block right here. So else, we just want to break it out. Okay, so break, like so, break. So now let me just save that, and now let me just search for a pizza. I'm gonna hit enter. It will not give us that ingredient. So now let me just open my console, and we are not getting any kind of error right here, so which means we are getting some sort of, okay, so we forgot to we forgot to render that. So I'm going to just write HTML, and it will be now equals to this span, and we are already providing the styling for these stuff like ingredients. So we are providing a styling for this span and also for this ing right here. So what I'll do is that I'm going to just write my span right here, and I'm going to also close it up right away, and I'm going to just specify this ingredients. So ingredients dot map, I want to iterate over through all of the ingredients which we currently have, and I'm going to just write ing for short of like for ingredients, and I'm going to just specify the li right here, and I'm going to also close it up, and I'm going to give him a class of ing in this case, not img. Okay, and I'm going to render my ing right here. Now the final thing which you have to do is that we also have to join that one as well, and I'm going to just provide empty string right here. Underneath that, I'm going to just write ingredients output. Where is that ingredients output? So I'm going to just copy that, and I'm going to select it right here, and I'm going to just change the inner HTML of there to just simple HTML. I'm going to save my file, and now let me just search for a pizza or something like pizza. I'm going to hit enter. It will give us all of their data right here, and it will also give us information about these ingredients right here. And yeah, that's working the way we want them to work. So everything is totally working, but I want to get a little bit of spacing in there. So you know what, I'm not going to providing any spaces right here. So maybe when I'm pushing this code to my GitHub repository, I'm going to provide a little bit of spacing in there, but in recording, maybe I'm not going to provide. You can just specify the margin or something like that, and that will work totally for you. But I'm going to take care of this button right here. That's looking awful. We didn't specify any classes for this button, so I'm going to just provide a class of like main button or something like that. I'm going to copy that, and here I'm going to just select it like main button right here. And I'm going to just remove that transparent, and I'm going to just remove that border as well. Let me just save that. That's cool. And I'm going to just provide I don't know, the border of something. This color would be fine. Yep, that color will be fine. So I'm going to just write 2 pixels solid and that color. I'm going to also provide a padding of, I don't know, 10 pixels would be fine. You know what, I'm going to have to, let me just provide a color. I guess this color will be fine. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to place it right here. And yep, that's looking cool. If you want to remove this spacing, so you can remove that if you want to. Where is that? Let me just search for them. Here we are specifying like 70%. I can change that to 40, and this is how it will look like. I can change that to like 60 or something, and this is how it looks like. So you can search for a pizza or something like that. So I'm going to search for, I don't know, pizza or something. I'm going to hit enter, and here you can see that's looking better. Or you can also tweak that if you want to, but I just kind of want to show you how you're going to be getting this data from this meal API. So that's totally awesome, and we are now getting all of this data, and we can also provide a label right here. Anyways, I'm going to provide that label at the end. So that was the project 98 of this series.